Granblue Fantasy first launched in 2014, and since then, the game has expanded with new storylines, characters, and worlds. It's led the charge for Cygames' global expansion, and we've seen releases of anime and manga adaptations, as well as the console titles Granblue Fantasy Versus and Granblue Fantasy Relink. So with the release of Versus and the original title's 6th anniversary, I thought it was worth talking a bit about the game's development. Here are 5 things you'd need to know. Granblue Fantasy is an art-first property. Production began by drawing out ideas for the worlds. They knew they'd found their mark when the Cygames art team created an airship for which the entire world would be based. Airships aren't exactly unfamiliar to this team though. Granblue's initial art team was largely made up of ex-Square Enix veterans, specifically those who'd worked on the Final Fantasy series. Granblue's art director is Hideo Minaba, president of the Psi Designation design team. Before landing at Cygames, Minaba most prominently served as art director on Final Fantasy VI, 9, and 12. It's one hell of a resume. And that's just the art. Nobuo Uematsu, veteran Final Fantasy composer, also created a whole bunch of iconic tracks for the game. While there's plenty of mobile games with great art, a lot of them are reliant on guest illustrators. Fate Grand Order is particularly famous for this, with fans looking forward to seeing what illustrators they'll bring in for certain characters. However, while it makes the characters interesting, it does very little for consistency. It feels weird seeing the Danganronpa designer's Edmond Dantes next to the Sword Art Online designer's mysterious heroine X. This is why, to create a consistent world, the art of Granblue is done in-house. Minaba refers to it as unified parts of a whole, where the art comes together to create an impressive world. It's difficult to maintain this kind of consistency, and even more so to have this consistency carry over to games produced at other companies. The console titles Granblue Fantasy Versus and Relink were created at Arc System Works and Platinum Games respectively, although the latter one is now being produced solely at Cygames Osaka. There were a bunch of discussions with these teams discussing how to reflect the original title, especially since these would be the first times the characters would be rendered in 3D. Arc System Works are experts in mimicking 2D art and 3D models, but they still needed help, and they got it. Both Versus and Relink are directed by Granblue's director, who would trust the development teams to deal with the gameplay, but he would be there to oversee everything and make sure it still felt like Granblue Fantasy. Directing these 2 games in addition to the original would have been a ton of work. One of the most exciting parts of Granblue is the collaborations, and they seriously go all out. Preparation for a collab begins a year in advance, and each collaboration will involve an original story and most notably, original art. One of the disappointments for me in mobile game collaborations is when they just use the original art from the original properties, but Cygames makes a real effort to make characters from Persona 5, Detective Conan, Love Live or Code Geass feel like they exist in the world of Granblue. It's a load of work, but in return, Granblue pulls off some of the best collaborations in mobile games. The game first launched in English in 2016, but instead of making a separate version, they added an English language option to the existing game. However, this means that there isn't an English app, and instead you either play on the browser or use the Japanese App Store. Even so, the game has fostered a huge community overseas, and they've made sure to release Versus and the anime adaptation overseas as well. The staff were anticipating having to add different kinds of content to the original game to appease international players, since conventional wisdom says that overseas players have different tastes, but they were surprised to find that everyone kind of likes the same stuff. Popular characters and stories in Japan are popular overseas, and the Granblue IP has immediate global appeal. Because of the positive reaction, they're looking for more ways to help overseas players get into the game, and they're listening to feedback globally as well. Thanks for watching OTAQUEST in Japan, and feel free to subscribe to find out more about Japanese anime, games, fashion, music, and more.